Like I've mentioned before, if your child has a fever, is vomiting, or has diarrhea, your most important job is probably going to be making sure that she or he is getting enough to drink to prevent dehydration. Dehydration is caused by a fluid and electrolyte imbalance in the body. Because your children have smaller bodies than we do as adults and don't perspire as effectively as we do, it can be quite easy for them to get out of balance. Here's what you can do to help. Number 1, keep giving them liquid. If they can't keep it down, it's okay to give them even a teaspoon at a time. Just make sure you're giving it to them often so that at least they're taking in about 5 ounces every 20 minutes. 9 ounces if they're teenagers or they weigh over 120 pounds. An ounce is about equal to 2 child-sized gulps. With babies, of course, it'll be even less. You can measure out the amount of liquid you want them to drink an hour to help you keep track. If they're not keeping this down, try 1 teaspoon every 10 minutes until they can tolerate more. Even a little bit is better than nothing. If they cannot tolerate drinking any fluid, you could also try using ice chips. What should they be drinking? Usually, anything with liquid is better than nothing, but sugary drinks, dark sodas, anything with caffeine should be avoided, as they can sometimes make dehydration worse. Water is good. Even better is if you can add an electrolyte juice to the water, probably available at your local pharmacy. You can also add a little fruit juice to the water. For example, add 10% apple juice to 90% water. This may not be as good as electrolyte mix, but it will give them some added nutrients to keep them going and help their body to absorb the water. How will you know if your child is dehydrated? Signs of dehydration include sunken eyes, dry mouth and lips. Pinch test. If you pinch the skin on the top of your child's hand or arm and the skin does not return to its original position right away. Listlessness. When they cry, there are no tears. Their urine is very dark yellow, or there's no urine at all. If your child is demonstrating any of the symptoms just listed, it's time to see your medical practitioner. Before it gets to that stage, however, you can use a form of oral rehydration at home to keep your child well hydrated before the problems start. One rehydration recipe that I've used commonly when I didn't have Pedialyte or another rehydration mix on hand uses 1 liter of purified or boiled water, 2 tablespoons of sugar, molasses, or honey if your child is over 1 year old. This is going to help with the absorption of salt. A 1/4 teaspoon of salt, which will provide necessary electrolytes, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, which prevents acidosis, common in dehydration. Taste it first to make sure the liquid isn't any saltier than tears. If it is, you need less salt. You can also blend this recipe with one of the following for a good source of potassium: a 1/2 cup of orange juice, a 1/2 cup of coconut water, or 1 blended banana. If you don't have all of the ingredients we just talked about, a simpler version is to mix 1 liter of purified or boiled water with 8 teaspoons of sugar and 1 teaspoon of salt.